This is a 30-minute overview of how to turn a page on your website into a microsite landing page, how headers and footers can be rebuilt to match the theme of your new microsite, and how to build a new component in the content management system. The examples we cover in this video, like farmers markets and surfing examples, are intended to be visual and conceptual examples, and it is up to you to create content specific to your need. Consider the possibilities of how you can use the developer toolkit for building an emergency preparedness page or COVID or vaccine microsites. You may also need to turn up your volume a bit for watching this video. So what can you do with your developer toolkit? First of all, we can make a microsite. A microsite takes a page that already lives inside of your website, like this one, my Visionville Farmers Market page, and we can turn it into a landing page for a purpose. One of the cool things we can do with that page is we can adjust the headers, the site logo, and also the footers of that page. Recreate them and make them work for our farmers market idea. One of the other cool things that we are going to see here is that we can reuse the home page template so that I can take what once looked like the home page design of our original website and reuse it as an interior page. Now you'll notice my top navigation, my site logo, my first level navigation pages or sub pages to my microsite have now been readjusted. And my footer has been reconfigured to match my microsite's needs. So how do you turn one page, like this one, into the landing page of your microsite? As you notice, it has the same main menu right now as the home page of your website. So let's move to the back end. Go to the Pages component. Find the page that we want to make our landing page for our microsite right here. I'm going to edit my page's page detail. Open my page's department branding. Select Department Homepage and Root Landing Page. I already have a few things here like my headers, footers, and site logos from a previous time that I've worked on this page. So I will get back to the header, footer, and site logo for next steps that we can take with our building of a microsite. But for now, this department homepage and root landing page must be selected in order to make this page a microsite. We save and continue. And the changes that I've implemented have turned this page into the landing page of your farmers market microsite. You'll notice the main menu has been adjusted to show sub-pages like visitor centers, be a vendor, performances, and rules and regulations, which, as you can see, are the sub-pages directly underneath Visionville's Farmers Market, and their sub-pages also appear here. So let's review those steps really quickly. I can take a page like this one. Edit that page's page details. And decide to make this page a department homepage and a root landing page. The headers and footers and site logo will make work for us a little bit later. But in essence, we've just made our farmers market landing page and all of its subpages a microsite. So this is probably the very first time that you're building a header or footer, or making your header and footer of your microsite something different than the main header and footer of every web page on your website. So let's talk about what to do and how to do it. First of all, this is most likely your very first new header and footer. So you'll see I have a lot of examples already here for previous headers and footers that I've built for other microsites. And for my farmers market microsite, I already have a header and footer available. I'm going to use the parent site template, and I'm going to build a new header and footer that I can apply to the header and footer of my new microsite and all of its pages by copying an existing, giving it a name, and this one I'll call Farmers Market 2. We're going to ignore the site logo still, and I'm going to show you that once we move into the page design, there's going to be a few funky things that appear. Number one, on this example, a few things are out of place, like my search box. What once was here in the middle of my home video background or image slider widget is now up here. That's okay for now. It's going to appear just fine in our user experience once I publish my page. You'll also notice my top navigation gray box with a white widget, and my footer address, footer phone, and footer social icons also have a gray box and a white wrench. These gray boxes and white wrenches are on my page design entirely because I have built a new header and footer template. I can open the white wrenches of any of these gray boxes and decide on pieces of custom content that have already been created in the system. I have a few examples here of farmers market microsite headers and footers. These, with the stars next to them, were all pre-built before this training. In our configurations custom content area. Each of these pieces of custom content, like image links for my footer social or text links for my top navigation, were pre-built using the Add Custom Content green button under Configurations. Since these were pre-built, I can return to the design area of my page, decide which footer social icon piece of custom content I would like to apply in, and this one's already appropriately built, my farmers market micro footer social. By selecting that piece of custom content and pressing save, you'll notice a small difference. The order's changed. Our Facebook icon is to the left. This will allow a site visitor, when they click one of these social icons or the other, to go to the farmers market, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. You'll also notice is some very simplistic footers, phone and footer address. If the phone number of your farmer's market needs to be changed, of course, you can build a piece of custom content like a footer phone or footer address, and then apply them in. make the change. And some other simple ones are your top navigation text links. Instead of the top navigation that lives at the top of every page on your overall website, let's give it the Farmers Market Microsite top navigation. And now, fair prices, family fun, COVID-free, dog-friendly, those are your new top navigation elements of every page built for your microsite. And then all we do is publish our page and move on building other pages that are going to be the subpages to your microsite. Every website has a different wireframe. For this website, you'll notice that my site logo is in the top left-hand corner. I've got a top navigation, and as you've probably noticed, I've got a footer that has 3 columns. Your website might be slightly different, and you may have other pieces of custom content in the footer and the header of your website. Now I'm going to show you how we go from having this top navigation and the footer at the bottom to this top navigation and the footers that we've implemented here. To do this, I needed to create pieces of custom content in the back end of the website under the Configurations Custom Content area. These 4 pieces of custom content were all built individually, one at a time, as a copy to what was filling all of the rest of your pages on your website to what will now fill my Farmers Market microsite. So your footer social was image links for your regular website, so I created a new set of image links to exist in your Farmers Market subpages, and so on for the others. The 2 easiest to make replacements for are your text links and your regular footers. In this case, my phone and address. So let's start with the easiest one, building new text links to fill your top navigation. I built one already, so we're going to compare what I have here with how you can build a new one. I gave mine a new title so that I can easily find it when I'm applying custom content in at the page design. I then chose the display type, text links, as opposed to regular image links or the CSS, Java, or Rad Editor snippets. CSS, Java, and Rad Editor snippets are things you will not learn about during this Developer Toolkit training video. Text links are very easy to talk about because when selected, we can add more text links, give them a name, and a location for where we want the selection of that text link to go to. We can move them around or remove them. We can even send someone to another website altogether. By typing in http:// and then the rest of the hyperlink. By saving and publishing, we've now made a permanent change to a piece of custom content that can then be applied when editing the design of your page. How about your regular type? Footer phone and footer address on my website are built using a WYSIWYG editor. So that is your regular text area that you've found in other areas of your website. I have here a bit of text that has an header 2 applied to it and an address, all organized to resemble what it looks like at the bottom of every page on my website here, with a small change to what you see on my farmers market website. The same with the phone. Both built using the WYSIWYG editor. Once the changes have been applied, like be our guest rather than come visit, then we publish our changes. And then we can move on to our image links. The image links are a little bit harder to work with because we need to make sure that we use the same sized images that you see here that developers chose to fill this area of your website. You can always build your own icons. However, you must always upload those icons to your image library to then create the image links like I have. When I edit my image links area, you'll see that I can select an image from my image library by selecting an icon from my image library and dragging it into place. It has now become a social icon in my footer. I can add a URL where the site visitor goes to when they click the icon that will fill the space. You can, of course, rearrange your icons from Facebook to Twitter. Just make sure that the URL connects that person to the farmers market Facebook or Twitter account. By making those changes and saving and publishing, the big change to the bottom of my page now will be a new icon added to that social media location. However, the size of my image is a little bit too big for this area. My microphone for my performers list should probably be a little bit smaller. To finish up with our last step on our microsite, we want to replace the site logo with the Gov access that we have here that exists on every interior page. Like even right now on our farmers market webpage, we want to replace this with a farmers market logo. Plus, an advantage of replacing your site logo on your microsite is that if I'm truly in a microsite, I might want to, when I'm on an interior page, return back to the farmers market landing page rather than the user experience of clicking that site logo and automatically jumping back to the home page of your website, as seen here. So let's start at step 1. Let's go to your image library, find a folder that we're going to add our icon to, add our image. The image that I'm adding to replace the spot on my website is about 430 pixels wide by about 110 pixels tall. Just like that, I have a logo ready in my image library where I can then jump to the page, edit my page details of my Visionville Farmers Market, return to the department branding section, and replace the parent's site logo with a custom logo. You see that I've replaced the desktop, mobile, and sticky header, all with the same logo. With my website, that's just fine. With yours, you may need to adjust the sizes between desktop, mobile, and sticky. Now when I save and continue, and present my page as it were to exist to our site visitors, using the preview, you'll notice I've made a drastic change to the overall site logo, and I've also completed the look and feel of my microsite. When your developer toolkit was turned on, you may have noticed a development dropdown in the top of your CMS. This shows right now a component builder feature, where when you create a component in this area, you'll have the power to build a component like what I have here, my dog parks component, or my surf breaks component. You may not have a need for building or organizing and displaying all of the surf breaks or all of the dog parks in your community, but we are going to do this for Visionville. I built two components so that I can show you how they work together in the system. The end result of creating a component is to allow you to have a content shortcut for each of your components and to have your content get displayed on a widget on a page. For instance, this is my Surf Breaks component widget displayed here on this page. And as you notice, I also have a dog parks widget. I'm displaying both the surf park and dog park widget on a single page to show you how the list widgets appear on a page. What you're also going to notice in the far right-hand column of the Surf Breaks widget is that each surf break is also linked to the closest dog park. I did this in several steps by creating Surf Breaks component first, and then creating the dog parks component after. I then re-edited the Surf Breaks component to allow for what's called a lookup field, which I selected to allow for my Surf Breaks component and my dog parks component to be linked together during step 2 of creating my Surf Break component. After these components were built, I then created a handful of dog parks in the dog park component. I was then able to select one of these dog parks to fill the closest dog park field when I was creating each surf break. Something to remember is that only super users or users with high-level security roles are able to build a new component or add or edit content within the client-built components. If a basic user needs to be able to build a new component, edit a new component, or build new content within any or each of the components that you've built in your website, a super user will need to create a security role and apply it to that basic user. For now, let's return to the dashboard and see just how we created these new dog park and surf break components. I started here in the development dropdown and selected the component builder. You'll notice I have many components already built, many of which are turned off, which is why some that are turned on will appear in the alphabetized list components A through I, R through Z. The only components that I have on right now are my dog park component and my surf breaks component. Let's break down how the surf breaks component was created. I'm going to edit something that already exists. However, it could work where you build a new component using the Add Component green button. By editing a component that already exists in the website, I'm going to show you how the things that I've created will help your website display content. First, I used a title, Surf Breaks. Then, I decided on a content record name and its plural version. Break and breaks are the index values that you'll notice when I explore my Surf Breaks component. Here, the word add break and manage breaks draw from this area, break and breaks. You'll also notice I've created a custom shortcut icon, a man and a wave. That custom shortcut icon displays right here in my content shortcuts. It's around 20 to 40 pixels wide. You'll notice that my dog park image doesn't look good in the frame that the image is being displayed. That's because the image fitting in that area is too big for the circle. But my Surf Break one fits just fine. That's about 20 to 40 pixels wide. When I save and continue, step 2 is building the fields that are going to be the back-end CMS user display. The CMS user display, name of break, spot view, and several other drop-down fields are what you see when a CMS user in the back end of the website clicks Add Break. They then can build in content in the fields that were created when I created the component, name of break, spot view, and even these drop-down features, all created when I edited the component and added fields. In step 2 of building my Surf Breaks component, I used a variety of fields, like the single line of text here for my name of break. I simply dragged it into place in my canvas. By selecting the field itself, I can change up the field label, mark something as a required field for my CMS users, and other advanced options as well. Let's move on to a different field, like the single drop-down. I've used it in several locations here for swell direction, wind direction, surf height, and different tide levels. By dragging a single drop-down into the canvas more than once, I can create my swell direction to have a data source for north all the way down to different combo swells. These selections will be available to my CMS user when they are selecting or building a new break of their own, swell direction north to combo swell. Returning back to editing the component, a handful of other fields can be very useful to you too, like the rich text editor field, which I'm using right now as the details, or perhaps a veteran surfer guide to this particular spot. It's nothing more than an HTML editor. What you also have noticed is my use of the lookup field. The lookup field that I have here, I used for my closest dog park field, so that when it is in place in my building of a brand new surf break, my CMS users can click here and decide on an index value from my dog park component. And at the moment, I only have 2 to select from. Creating that lookup field and dragging it into place allows me to choose the component source of a component built within your website. You're only noticing dog park and surf breaks because these are the only live components that I've created in the component builder. The next step of tying all of this together is to save and continue and move on to step 3 of 3, the list view of creating your surf breaks component. What you notice here is the index view and the default list widget view. The index view is what appears in the back of the website in the surf breaks component manage view. Noted here, when you visit the surf breaks component, the thumbnail, name of break, surf height, and lineup occupancy from left to right are what appear here due to my index view, thumbnail, name of break, surf height, and lineup occupancy. I can add other fields here if I want, and they will appear in this left to right hand view. Then there's the default list widget, which is what will appear to your site visitors on a page that displays your surf breaks component. From thumbnail down to closest dog park, that's the top row of my surf breaks component widget. So I've decided what will appear in the back end of the website to my CMS users and what will appear on the front end of the website to my site visitors. I then publish, and 2 things happen when I publish. Number 1, the component is now ready for me to use. And a new page template was built in the website with a surf breaks widget on that page template. That widget can then be used at the page level to add to our website pages. Like this one, Brian's Surf Breaks Training Only widget.